Decision-making case analysis presented by Gerard Johnson. The parties involved in the case. We have Harry Smart, a Harvard graduate and a young executive who works for Brand Corporation in Boston, and he's also the chairperson of an ad hoc committee. Next is Barbara Smart, who happens to be Harry's wife, and she's also a Harvard graduate, and she works as an attorney in a law firm in Boston. And then next on the list we have Brand Corporation, which happens to be Harry's employer, and at the moment its board of directors are planning on an expansion program. But finally, we have an ad hoc committee, which is a committee that has been created to determine the location of the new branch plant. Now moving on. Background information. Harry Smart, a young executive, was born and raised in Boston. He met his future wife Barbara in college, and they both got married after graduation. Both of them later furthered their studies in Harvard. Harry works for Brand Corporation as an executive, and Barbara works for a law firm in Boston. The board of directors of Brand has decided to build a new branch plant. The president personally selected Harry to be the manager of the new plant and informed him that a job well done would guarantee him a vice presidency in the corporation. Harry was appointed chairperson with final decision-making privileges of an ad hoc committee to determine the location of the new plant. Harry explained the ideal requirements of the new plant to all the experts in the committee. 1 month later, the committee reconvened and after weighing all the variables, recommended the following cities in order of preference: Kansas City, Los Angeles, and New York. It was obvious to Harry that the committee had put in a great deal of time and effort into the report and recommendation. A spokesperson for the group emphasized that there was a definite consensus that Kansas City was the best location for the new plant. Harry responded that he would like to study the report in more depth before he made his final decision. That same day after dinner, Harry asked his wife if she would like to move to Kansas City. Her response was a no. However, she was willing to move or commute to New York if it was selected as the site of the new branch plant. The following day, Harry called the committee and commended them for their effort. However, he said New York City meets the requirement of the new branch plant better than Kansas City. Therefore, the decision will be to locate the new plant in New York. Moving on, the key issues in the case. Harry's employer is planning to engage in an expansion program by building a new branch plant. Harry has been selected to be the manager of the new plant, and he was promised vice presidency in the corporation if he does a good job. Harry was also appointed chairperson with final decision privileges of an ad hoc committee created to determine the location of the new branch plant. The committee recommended the following cities in order of preferences: Kansas City, Los Angeles, and New York. The committee spokesperson emphasized that there was a definite consensus that Kansas City was the best location for the new plant. Harry's wife does not want to move to Kansas City, rather she prefers New York. Harry finally decided that the new plant should be in New York. Case questions. The following questions were asked in the case. Did Harry make a rational decision? The second question was, what model of behavioral decision-making does this case support? And third, what decision techniques could be used by the committee to select the new plant site? Moving on. Responses to case questions. Question 1, which is, did Harry make a rational decision? Rational decision making is a systematic process and it involves the following 6 stages. Define the problem or opportunity. 2. Set goals and identify evaluation criteria. 3. Identify the alternatives. Number 4, evaluate alternatives based on evaluation criteria. Number 5, choose the best alternative. And number 6, implement the decision and monitor the results. Based on the facts of the case, Harry has not made a rational decision. Harry's decisions were geared more towards keeping his marriage intact rather than attaining the objectives of his employer. Harry's decision making was compromised. Question 2. What model of behavioral decision making does this case support? This case supports the bounded rationality behavioral model, which explains that a manager is a human being. Hence, he cannot be fully rational because he is confronted with the following constraints. Number 1, he's confronted with constraints, problems, limitations, and inadequacies. In this case, Harry Smart is confronted with a situation where he has conflicting objectives. Hence, he resorted to some compromise and adjustments which affected his rational decision-making ability. Question 3. What decision techniques could be used by the committee to select the new plant site? Decision techniques which could enhance decision-making effectiveness include brainstorming. Which is the purpose of brainstorming is to generate new and creative ideas, and there is a tendency for one person to dominate the discussion in this technique. Nominal group technique is it's also like brainstorming, but it takes it one step further by including a voting process. It is said that nominal group techniques generates more ideas than brainstorming. And then the Delphi method, this technique takes all ideas and compiles them for the manager of the group to break down into smaller amounts of possibilities. The manager takes the remaining options back to the group for their consideration. In conclusion, Harry has a desire to perform well because of the vice presidency which has been promised to him by the president. However, this dream will not be realized if his loyal wife decides not to move with him to Kansas City. This could affect his marriage, which could later affect his performance at his job. His bounded rationality has caused Harry to make some compromises and adjustments. Hence, he was unable to make a rational decision. Based on the analysis of the case, brand compression would arrive at a better decision if it applies the group decision-making techniques in selecting the new side of the plan rather than delegating the final decision authority to Harry Smart.